thank you so much for tuning in on Borderless Diaries, the podcast. This is the podcast about living abroad, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Every week, we will have a special guest and we will discuss the many questions that you have, and we will discuss that over a drink. It is here 10 a.m. in the morning, so I'm just drinking a ginger beer. But grab your drink, stay tuned. In today's episode, I'm going to speak to one of my close friends, Dennis, who I met in Ireland, and he currently lives in Sweden. And I'm very excited to address one of the questions that we always get, and that is how you're keeping up with your friendship. How are you keeping up with friendships in general while living abroad? And how are you building those friendships if you are abroad? So I'm super excited for you to tune in. Let's delve right in and let's call Dennis. Welcome to Borderless Diaries, Dennis. Every guest starts with the same question. And what is the most unforgettable, funny, or downright awkward experience that you've had while adjusting to a new country?
I think there are many, but one of them that stands out to me was when I had to move from one apartment to another when I lived in Dublin, and all of my belongings would fit into a very small Suzuki car or Suzuki Swift. So yeah, that was me then thinking about, okay, if that car now drops into the river, there goes everything that I own, it's all gone. So yeah, that was a funny moment for me.
But you only had like what, a few boxes?
Yeah, only a few boxes. I was traveling and living quite light back then.
Yeah. Well, times change because now you have a gorgeous house in Sweden.
Yes, I now have a very nice house made from wood, and it is, with the red color on the outside into in the forest. So I have a lot more stuff now, for sure.
Yeah, now you do. Now you do. Now it don't doesn't fit into the Suzuki Swift.
No, it doesn't. But we still have a Suzuki Swift, so it's still funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's a coincidence. Yeah, but yeah, we do have that.
Okay. And you also have chickens, right? You still have the chickens?
Yes, I have a few chickens, so we have like fresh eggs, and yes, so it's very nice.
You're
It's a
living
different
the dream
kind of
in
living.
Sweden. Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah,
for the people
yeah,
that don't know your story, you moved from the Netherlands. You're originally from the Netherlands. You moved to Ireland, and then you met the love of your life. And then from Ireland, you moved to Sweden.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about that story. How did you ended up in Ireland?
I ended up in Ireland because I got a job offer from Microsoft, and Microsoft doesn't come by every day of the week, especially not if you're early in career in IT. So yeah, when I got that chance, I wanted to take it and go. At that time, I had, of course, family, even a relationship in the Netherlands. So it was still a big decision, but yeah, I was ambitious. I wanted to take that chance, so that had priority over other things at the time. So I made move to Dublin and had a fantastic time there. Met you, Simone, and some others that we worked in the team with. I think that was a great time. Dublin itself and Ireland itself was interesting. A totally new world, very different from the Netherlands, I would say, both in how people behave, but also the the housing and how you pay for things and how you do things with the government. So that was a big shift, I
Yeah.
think, and where you did a lot of learnings. And then indeed, right before COVID hit, I went to Sweden and I stayed there because there were no airplanes anymore going around. And then that was a very good time. I really enjoyed it there. So then I decided, I would want to continue my career in Sweden and my life in Sweden. So eventually bought a house and had a good job over here. So then, yeah, why would I change again? I was happy. So I am happy, for the record. Yes. Yeah.
Did you already know when you were growing up that you ever wanted to have like an international career, or was it more like, hey, the opportunity arose for you and that made you make the decision to move to Ireland?
Yeah, I would say I never thought I would do that. I never had the ambition to do an international career. I think it took me a very long time as a student, like when I was younger, to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I always wanted to join the Air Force in the Netherlands, become one of those F-16 pilots, the cool young boy kind of dream stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's very little, a few people that get to do that. So I had to do something else with my life. Then I did something called sports and movement education, which was like a bachelor education. I finished that, but only, with a lot of effort and extra years because I don't know, it was just not really what made me passionate in the end. And I think that is something that I was missing in my early stage career kind of life. But then once I did something with IT, I joined a traineeship, then suddenly everything started to click. It was something that I was good at, but also something that I really liked to do. And from there, I think the potential was huge for me. So then, yeah, I got nice opportunities eventually, even Microsoft. So yeah, of course you're gonna do that because you feel like, oh, the sky is the limit here then. So let's go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did that spark that ambition in you when you moved to Ireland?
Yes, it did, and I think it changed the view on the international thing. Of course, it's a scary move, even if
Mhm.
it's still something that you really would want to do, like you really want to work for that company and it would make your family and you're really proud. But at the same time,
Mhm.
it is it is also something really big. You don't know how everything works there. You don't know anyone there, probably. If you're lucky, maybe you know someone via friends, but at that time I didn't know anyone. So you have to build your own
Mhm.
network and you have to find your own way. And for some people that can be quite daunting and scary. But for me, yeah, I was a little bit nervous about it, but I think I had a good reception from the team and the people around me. So then it is also easier to find your place. But still, you need to take initiative and you need to open up for that as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think even though it was not what I expected, I still was good and flexible and yeah.
Yeah, because for the people that are listening now, I think we started a week after each other. So we found each other in that kind of uncertainty and like, hey, how are we adjusting to this new life, etc. What was it really like arriving in Ireland for you and to start building your circle over there?
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it was like I lived my whole life in the Netherlands, so that is what you know. Then you come into Ireland, and everything suddenly looks different. And there's still people, of course, but it's for me. I was like, for me, it felt like a little bit of a new world, and everything is new and exciting and needs exploring. Also, people like you. I think I was actually more driven to talk to people because I was like, "Okay, I need help here. I need to talk to more people to kind of figure out how do I get an apartment or how do I get my ID card or registered there." But that actually worked out really well because I found out there were many people like you, Simone, that were kind of having these same questions or maybe went through all that stuff. So that then helps you move forwards. And I think if you join a big company that has a lot of young people that are struggling with similar things, then it's also easier to connect. So I think that was also a plus in that journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is true because I remember the first kind of couple of weeks we were not only talking as kind of like new friendship building, but we were also talking about, what are you doing with your tax registration and like have you found your healthcare type of things, which typically you don't really discuss with the people back home because that is
No.
kind of what you grew up with and you know all of that. Was it easy for you to meet people or did it take some time for you to find like that friendship group or like your specific crew?
Well, I guess there is you have the social part that is at your work and the social part that is outside of that. I think at work it was quite fast because I was hired for a team that was Dutch speaking. So suddenly there's all people that speak your mother language, which is, I think, a way faster way to kind of connect and figure things out. So I think that helped me most at that time. But but when I was not living in an apartment or in an Airbnb temporarily. That was with people that are speaking the same language or even from the same country or working at the same company. So I think There you try to, of course, connect with people as well, but you find out that it's a little bit harder than to get all those answers and things. I think it went a lot better once you start living closer to the people that you work with and that you can connect with.
Where did you live again? The when you first arrived, did you live close to the office and by yourself, or did you have like roommates and stuff?
I was living in an Airbnb, and that was south of Central Park or the Central Park station in Dublin. So it was a nice neighborhood. It was just in a house, but I was
Yeah.
living there with two or three others. They had also kind of tech jobs, but not at Microsoft. So yeah, great. But for the rest, also nothing more than that.
Yeah, and then you moved to an amazing apartment, if I say so myself.
Yes, it
Giving
was a
myself a
penthouse.
compliment here.
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty cool. It was nice that we could kind of co-rent this together, but also it was way too pricey compared for what you get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's true. And for the people that are listening, Dennis and I were roommates or housemates back in Dublin, and we lived there together at one point with four people in that apartment. It was an amazing apartment and a lot of fun. And then COVID hit, and then
yes,
you moved to Sweden at that time because you met your
yes,
girlfriend in Ireland. Later, you moved to Sweden together.
yeah.
How was that transition for you? Did you have like a better transition time because you had your partner with you?
Yes, it makes a lot of things easier, I would say, because of course Swedish is not my main language either. It's close in a Germanic kind of language way, but it's yeah, speaking is very hard if you've never done it. So
Yeah.
I definitely rely on her and still rely on her in some ways. That makes it easier to navigate, okay, how do I make an appointment at the dentist? Where do I need to go? Or it's all these simple things, and of course you can find it out on the internet, but I'm just saying that in a new country things just work a little bit different, and the language can be a big barrier there. So that is
And with that language
yeah.
barrier, how did you find it to make new friends? Because you said as well, like in Ireland, we had so many different languages, but we were in a team with Dutch speaking people, so that made it easier in communication. How was it for you to make friendships in Sweden, where the language barrier was more significant, I can imagine?
Yes. Well, to nuance this a bit, the language barrier to Sweden is quite big, but most people in Sweden speak high professional English. Like even in stores, they can speak English. So if you if you stay with English, you're fine. But I think when you really want to build connections with friends, that is where Swedish definitely has a pro. And even at work, some companies that are very Swedish or like from old, very Swedish, they yeah, at the water machine or the coffee machine, they have Swedish talks, and then you can feel left out a little bit. So I think
Yeah.
having a partner here that is Swedish and Swedish speaking, that does help a lot. Also connecting with new friends, meeting new people. So her friends also became my friends,
Yeah.
and of course I made some friends myself along the way, career wise and work. But also I still have friends across the world, like you, Simone. So it's a little
Yeah.
bit everywhere.
Yeah, it changes, doesn't it? I feel like when you move abroad and then you meet all these amazing people from all different countries, etc., you have kind of your core group, obviously, where you hang out with and like you see, etc. But because you have such strong connections and friendships across the world, you're also kind of building a digital social life almost, which is a lot of fun as well. But it's hard to
This is
navigate
true.
through all of that and still have a physical kind of social life.
It is sometimes hard, but on the other hand, I think the people that you stay in touch with, they also likely have international careers, so they have been in the same boat as you. So they understand if you haven't reached out in 2 weeks. And like you have different lives on different sides of the world, so it's okay. And if you're not okay with that,
There's the
yeah,
door.
you figure that out. Yeah, exactly. There's the door. Good luck. No, so I think most of the friends that we have, they understand that this is harder and that it takes a little bit
Yeah.
more effort. Yeah, when you put in a little bit of effort, that is often enough then to keep the connection. And of course, you have the friends that you want to see maybe more than often, more than once in a month, and that is where you put extra effort. But those are also likely in your neighborhood or close by where you live, because then you go out and do things together. You know,
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah.
Because I remember that you spoke about this a while ago. You do have your international friends and that you came up with your digital friends basically to kind of like
Uh,
a gaming session or something like that. Tell us more about that.
yes. So there is this thing called a LAN party, where they basically just take all their computers and they go into one place, and then we connect them all together, old school, and we play just games together. And this is a lot of fun. It started like as a kind of tradition, like we started doing it once in a year. It's just always around this time. I did it 2 months ago in the Netherlands, and we thought it was so fun. Yeah, let's do it again next year. So every year I go now to the Netherlands to just have that gaming party with some guys, and one of them is actually an ex-colleague of ours, Simone, Yannick. So he's the one organizing that. But also via him, I got to meet other people that I didn't know yet in the Netherlands. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, those things are
Yeah.
important to do, and if you really have
Yeah.
fun, then it's even worth it to fly over to another country. And at the same time, there are some people where you can digitally connect with, and that is also fine. And you can game online or call. So yeah, but yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely enjoy that.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I think there is such beauty into having those types of friendships because it changed over the years, right? And you're living
Yeah,
abroad, etc. So you need to do something to keep those types of friendships alive. How do you navigate that virtually, like with your other friends? Do you feel like you because you have a core group of friends across the world, what what else do you do or what would you recommend others as well for keeping that friendships alive?
I would say start with communication. It's important, I think, that your friends understand and know like what is the level of in touch that you want to be together. And I think for most of my friends, I have a pretty good understanding, even without us actually communicating it. This is how
Yeah,
often we talk, or I don't know. Sometimes we send
yeah,
reels to each other on Instagram, and that is enough. And with others, let's make sure that we plan in a night to actually speak, or
yeah,
maybe go a weekend away and do something fun. So it depends per friend as well. But I would say for your core group, you communicate enough to know this is the level of friendship that we are in, and it's important to keep
yeah,
that way. But it's not just you; it's coming from two sides as well. You can put in a lot of energy, but if the other one doesn't do it, that is hard, of course.
yeah. There's the door.
Yeah, again, there's the door.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
I think it's really nice because I think the older that we get, look at us speaking as if we're this old, but your friendships do change over the years, and it changes when you live abroad. And I think what you and I have, for example, I think we have quite a strong friendship. And some weeks I don't speak to you at all, and then one evening I will be like, "Bing, bing, 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 Dennis, how are you?"
Yeah.
Or we
Yeah.
do like voice notes and like keeping in touch, I think is super important. But you do choose that because you can't keep up with all of the people that you meet abroad as well as stay in touch with your friends that you maybe grew up with. How was that for you with your friends growing up?
When I was younger, you mean?
Well, yeah, how do you keep in touch with them, for example? Or do you still keep in touch with them?
I think it was very hard to stay in touch with the people I grew up with in the Netherlands, like friends wise, because once you move to another country and you stay there for a while, and if you like me move to another country after that, it's kind of it starts fragmenting those relationships and deteriorating them to a level where it becomes quite hard to keep in touch unless you have such strong bonds with certain people. Like I think I only have one
Yeah,
person, one friend.
yeah,
That one he could come by at any time, and I would be like, okay, it's just like how it was.
yeah,
But all the
yeah,
others, yeah, not strong enough then to keep that connection. But I think that is also fine. You move your life for your ambition or for something that you really believe in and you want to do before you die. it's an intrinsic thing. So then that is also a sacrifice that you make, I feel, in that. You cannot make everybody happy, and in the end, you have to also make yourself happy. So yeah, maybe don't overthink so much the relationships around you, but make sure that you keep building healthy ones around you where you are. I
Yeah.
think that is very
No, I
important.
think it's a very good advice because I think if I look at myself, I had a very hard time to let go of kind of the friendships that I had back home, and I felt so
Yeah.
much guilt basically to live this life and like trying to keep up that I was getting a little bit burned out in those types of friendships because
Mm.
we're not at the same page anymore. We do live separate lives and you can't keep up with that. And as much as you want to hold on to that, it's not healthy anymore and sometimes you need to let that go because there's space for other types of friendships. And it's so important if you live abroad to have that support system, whether that is a virtual friendship such as you and I have, or that is a core friendship group that you build where you actually live. And that takes a lot of time and effort as well because you need to build up those friendships and your support system and your circle. So I definitely recognize that. And I think it's really good advice for people that are listening as well to not feel as much guilt, to let some of that go to make yourself happy and to make sure that the friendships that you have, that those are healthy and supportive.
I think that's spot on. It is it is realizing that when you make such a big move, that it will have an impact on your current relationships. And it's up to you to define which of these are important enough to keep putting energy in, and that is also sustainable for me as a person, like both mentally and physically. And on the other hand, I think it is very smart when you live somewhere else and new, build there your network. It is new opportunities, new people to meet that can become just as strong as a support net, so to say, as the ones that you knew. But yeah, this depends per person as well, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, Dennis, we're almost about to wrap up here. So I do have
Yeah.
a couple of quick fire questions. So we're going to
Cool.
ask you a couple of questions. You can quick answer those, and then we're going to wrap up
Yes.
this podcast episode. So, what is one
Very good.
thing that you still miss from the Netherlands?
I miss bitterballen. It's a snack that is fried with goulash on the inside, and yeah, it's that's what I miss, definitely.
Oh, I can imagine that. I was talking to somebody last week or something about the snack bar, and I needed to explain what the snack bar is. And I'm like, you just have to go, and then you will see. It's like
You don't know what you're
I mean,
missing.
all the
Yeah.
Dutchies go yeah, exactly. All the Dutchies go on probably a Friday or a Sunday. They go to the snack
Yeah.
bar.
But
All
they
right.
now have
And what
they yeah. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dennis.
No, there was a they have a restaurant now in Stockholm that is with Dutch people. So now they do have bitterballen, I heard. So I'm gonna try them out soon. So maybe I don't
Oh,
have to miss them anymore.
that's just yeah, maybe
Yes.
not. And Stockholm is beautiful to visit as well.
Yes, you should
All
come
right,
back
then.
sometime.
I know. I will try. Maybe next year. Um, all right. One other question is, what did you gain while living in Sweden? What is one of the most happy things that you get, or like one thing that really struck out to you while living in Sweden?
Personally, I love the nature in Sweden. I think compared to the Netherlands, it's a lot more interesting nature to look at, not just flat and water, you know. It's also less windy, which is also nice. In the Netherlands, it's very windy. On a professional level, I think I actually changed how I communicate with people a lot, which I think is is good. We in the Netherlands we're very direct and sometimes considered even rude in communication. And I think in Sweden, I learned really to be more diplomatic with how you say things and
Yeah.
keeping in mind that not everybody perceives communication the same way. I think I got even more that in Sweden than in Ireland, which is interesting. But I think that's a really good thing. So that's
Yeah.
my answer.
No,
Yeah.
that is really spot on because I think if I look at my journey in Ireland, I think it was for many of us, the first time abroad. It is
Yeah.
also such a weird type of community that everybody has there because everybody's in the same boat and it's a little bit, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say party all the time, but it is more in that kind of atmosphere
It
compared
felt
to
like a
like your
campus a little bit.
next step. Yeah, which is also fun. And how did that ambition influenced your, because you were talking about ambition a couple of times as well. Did your ambition
Yeah.
change moving to those different countries?
No, my ambition never changed, but I think, of course, there are things in life that can change how you fill in that ambition. So I wanted to stay at Microsoft, for example, when I moved to Sweden. But in Sweden, at Microsoft, they preferred Swedish speakers at the time for some roles. So I had to let go of that, okay, by Microsoft and the dream that is Microsoft, the golden cage. And I had to find another company. And from there, I had to hop like 3 or 4 companies to find something again where I was really happy. So sometimes I've
Yes.
been there at a startup and at a bank, so like different companies, and then you feel, am I really at the right place? Because I'm really ambitious, but I might not be able to fill it in right now with the job market or this new situation I'm in. But I think in the end, I kept the drive and I kept the ambition, and that got me to where I am now and where I'm happy as well and confident. So it definitely did drive me.
That's good. All right. And then the last question is, what advice would you give to people that are starting to look into an international career or just started into an international career? What advice would you give them?
I know it's scary, but just do it. You will thank yourself later. Yeah, it is that
Yeah.
simple. I think you might not get the chance again. You will be
Hmm.
able to build amazing relationships with people that you haven't even heard of yet, but you will thank yourself
Yeah.
later once you did
Yeah.
it, because either way, even though
Yes.
even though the career might not be what you wanted it to be, or the job might, you will still find yourself outside of your comfort zone, and you will have grown as a person more than you were if you stayed where you were. So just do it. Yes.
I think just do it. I think that that is a good way to end this episode for everybody that is listening in. Thank you so much for joining the Borderless Diaries podcast. And if there's anything that you want to share, please let us know as well. Drop us a follow and we will talk next week. Dennis, thank you so much for joining this podcast. And we will talk soon.
Thank you so much, Simone, and see you in Stockholm hopefully next year.
That sounds good.